It's International Films Night here on the Dungeon, and we got one out of Germany for you folks. So I hope you sprechen the German. What's going on, Dungeon Dwellers? Welcome back to Dave's Dungeon. I am, as always, the one, the only Dungeon Master Dave, bringing you another episode of Spooktober 2023. Today, for International Movie Day, we have one out of Germany and out of the German film production corps, basically, and every German indie company they could find making the film Der Samurai from 2014. Now, I gotta say, I already feel it. Hey, all of you who just giggled, it's not Der Samurai, it's Der Samurai, okay? I know there's not much difference in my accent and the way I say that word, but I swear to you, if you make it hurt a Der Samurai, I will hurt you. No, I won't. I'm just kidding. Because one of the ways I think you can watch this film, and we'll talk about that in the gory details, or right after we get done with the body count, we'll talk about one of the ways I think you can watch this film that even if this isn't your cup of tea, you might find a way to find this film amusing. But we'll talk about that after we get serious with it. Let's get into the details, the starting stuff we need to know. This is one by writer-director Till Kleinert from 2014. It's an hour and 20 minutes, or as we know it, 80 minutes. I didn't hear very much about it, and when I watched it, because it was on a few people's lists, but they were foreign horror fans, so they were sending me recommendations. This was one that came across, and I hadn't heard many people reference it, so I decided to pick it up. And I gotta say, this is one more of us American watchers need to put our eyeballs on. You can watch this on Shudder sometimes if it's up. Tubi. It's on a few other sites. I couldn't remember exactly the whole list. It's like Flex and Epix, or one of those other lesser used streaming platforms. But you can find this in a few places, and I think most of the time you can find it free places. So for my budget watchers, you should be able to find this. But without any further ado, let's jump off in the body count. We have one iconic silhouette of Der Samurai putting on the armor and getting ready for battle. Because in this one, we don't need ceramic plates. We need something else to disarm our enemy with. One feeding the wolves to help keep them at bay plan. Because direct action would require, I don't know, doing something that isn't stupid. Because as the captain says, what are you supposed to do when you're not going to feed them anymore? One dramatic scene shot, sort of sweeping of the forest, opening title card, that just, if you're any kind of a fan of forests or mountains or any kind of landscape, you're gonna just be, it's so idyllic, it's so sort of breathtaking and pristine, and sort of, it's you have some really cool shots here. You have some really cool effects with how the film is set up. I don't want to say effects, because this film really doesn't have much in the way of special effects, although there are some. But it's more like the way the movie's shot is so particular. It's very German. Let's just say that. It's very German. One dog that isn't a huge fan of Jacob meeting the main character, who's kind of a weenie. And you get the sense from each person we run into, one after another, that not too many people are fans of Jacob. Jacob, however you say his name. One old woman who cries wolf to the boy, in version of the fairy tale / harbinger of things to come, because we have a predator in town. Dun dun dun. And of course we do, because this is a horror film. One, he looks at me, and I look at him, and he looks at me, and I look at him, and he looks at me, and I look at him. Not sure if your bully's hitting on you or making fun of you, picking on you scene where you're supposed to be the police, but not too many people are impressed with you. Especially not your bully. One police captain thinks Jacob is more of an idiot and less of a freak than everybody else, but at the same time still holds him with the same contempt. One, so when you don't have money for postage and you still want to get your package, why not send it to the police who will bring it to you? I mean, if it works, if that's the plan. I mean, it only works, though, if they don't open it, right? Right? One group of delinquents on motorcycles, up to no good. I was glad to see this is a problem everywhere. In every horror film we find more and more the youth are up to no good and trouble all themselves. Because, yeah, of course they are. Can't trust kids. One, making your bully ride bitch because you're the police and he's been drinking. Getting sassy with him because you want him to know you mean business. And nobody wants Jacob to pull his gun. One, quiet night playing cards with your grandma. Like always. Because he got invited to a party, but, best to just go home. One, calling the police to find out the ETA on your package because that's where you sent it. And I gotta say, at this point, if I was Jacob, I would be asking some questions, but nah. One, using Jacob's wolf obsession against him. Is it with you? Almost jealous to the point of like, Jacob, what's going on with you and this wolf, man? Is it something specific? Are you like a closet furry and we don't know what's going on with you? When Jacob brings his massively long and girthy package to the fair maiden in the lit windowsill of the White House on the hill that's supposedly abandoned. And I gotta say, perfectly fine trope. Nothing wrong here. I promise you. One, you probably should have checked that. Ooh, excuse me. It could have been anything, Jacob. I mean, you could have been bringing him guns. It could have been a bomb. You could have been bringing him drugs. Oh, look, a sword. Definitely should have checked that. Definitely should have checked it. One, Der Samurai, finally unleashed, armed and armored, on a rampage. Because not even a speeding locomotive can stop her. One, shit, why did we leave our guns at the station policy? Which, I gotta say, for officers of the law, they sure do send them out there almost naked. A handcuffs and some pepper spray? You don't even let them take their gun? Oh no. One, going to get your gun because you are an incompetent policeman. Because this is gonna work. Police are often useless trope. We've seen this one already a few times this season, even on like things like Maniac Cop, where it's like, why are the cops so incompetent? Because this is a horror film. And again, one baptism by battle and blood. Sterblicht Gefurcht. Mortal Kombat begins. Yeah, and again, he's incompetent, so he drops the shotgun mere feet from the person wielding a sword. Jacob, I am so disappointed in your warrior. You should have closed that person out. One auto accident that's somehow convenient and really inconvenient in its timing. One lighting up your joint while driving with the cop in the car. Holy shit, I want to go to Germany too. Because that seems amazing. One heyo, he is kind of cute. Having a daydream about tonguing the cop. And, okay, this bitch has got to die. She was daydreaming about my man, foo. One illegible street sign destruction because the samurai is working through some things. One trashing the neighborhood so Jacob can be free seen. Hey, pal. Quote that just, it just makes you think things. You're going, oh, he looks at me. One, you could have had that earlier. Jacob realizing he and everyone else's position. Because there was a moment earlier where if he wanted Jacob, he could have had him. But he didn't. He didn't close him out. Didn't take him. Even though he was clearly taking it to the flamingos. One trashing the neighborhood. Yeah, we did that. One breaking the stupid, ugly flamingo because I hate them too. And it appeases the psycho. Yeah, when you have to cool someone off, maybe you break a flamingo. One, so that's it then? What now? Want to dance? Forbidden romance is forbidden trope. Which we get, this will be something we talk about in the gory details a little bit more, but for the most part, you kind of get what's going on here. He looks at me, and I look at him. One, Jacob versus Der Samurai, round one fight. Jacob gets kinky with the handcuffs. On the gate, foo. One, see how powerful we could be together, quote. Seduction. Awkward boner is awkward, isn't it? Because they're not supposed to be friends, but this is getting kind of hot. One, you aren't wearing a dress, are you? Boss thinks it's you, foo. Okay, fuck the captain. Fuck this guy. Fuck that guy in particular. One, and now it's time for some answers. One German police interrogation that looks like it's from the old days. Getting them answers. One, oh yeah, pound me, Jacob. Oh yeah, like you want to. Police brutality, foo. With kinky moans. Not what Jacob wanted, I don't think. One awkward boner leads to one awkward crisis of identity. Look, Jacob, you would not have this problem. You would not have this sort of uncomfortableness if you just watch Roadhouse, you know. It's normal and it's quite natural to get a boner the first time you punch somebody in the face, okay? It's the adrenaline, it's all the anger and the blood going everywhere, okay? Calm down. You just need to go watch Roadhouse and figure yourself out a little bit, okay? It's quite natural to get a rage boner. It's what it's called. Oh, and by the way, just note that for later. We'll have some of that later. Ding! One hardcore ripping off of a finger to get out of the handcuffs. Mistakes were made in the panic, quote unquote. One, I swore she was dead already when I saw this for the first time. Going to meet grandmother for the last card game. I'm not sure she ever knew how to play. One, burning his little village and killing Grandma Foo. For the finger, asshole. Which, in certain versions, I don't know if they make that clear of, like, him coming back down the stairs and seeing her dead after he puts the fire out, or I've seen it a few times now, and it's like I wasn't clear if it was that, if that made sense or not, but I was pretty sure the grandmother got it after he put the fire out. Like, as he came back out, she was dead, and that's what made him go get, well, that was when it cuts to the samurai getting surrounded by a pack of wolves, quote. But they don't know who the real monster is here. And I gotta say, maybe you should have left this one alone. Justice is served. One, you might want to have let policeman Jacob handle this. No one touches Pookie except me, foo. Full squad, dismemberment and decapitations all around, cause someone hurt my baby. And can't have that. One, going back to the police station for more guns, because you gotta gear up for round 2. One, captain has been made a personal Jesus, inverted style, down at the bonfire that wasn't there a few hours ago, suspiciously. Hey, where is everyone? One, oh my God, you survived. What the hell, Jacob? Wait, don't gag me again. No. It's sort of a bad sort of situation of, hey, Captain, you're not helping, so shut up. When both of you are asking me to kill someone, and I'm still unsure of where I sit in my crisis. I'm not sure I know what I want. Foo. One, heads roll, and with it part of Jacob's sanity. And we get not one, but 2. One, these are the really, real bad people, Jacob. Their samurai finally explains herself. One, first blood and first dance. Jacob tries joining with a promised dance, but we know how that song and dance goes, because you can't just do the dance. You know, you done the crime, now you gotta do the time. One, cut off his head so we can be together. Okay, you're officially too crazy for me, foo. One, last little ugly cork left to pop off and drain. Cause, yeah. Bye, Captain. One, self-sacrifice. Take me and let me live. Enemies to lovers. Almost. But turns out Jacob is just playing coy, trying to delay while backup gets there. But of course, we're too close for that to go right. Decapitation, voo-re-doo. Because everybody's getting some. A little off the top. One, Jacob gets the sword finally, just as backup arrives. Because, we're so pent up at this point now. We want him to have this thing, because it's the dangerous shiny toy. It is the phallic symbol. One, you are a coward, lonely wolf. Yeah, and you're a homicidal psycho, amongst other things. Bitch, this is gonna be a bad breakup now. Lovers have had a spat. One gratuitous shot of a wolf running around town wondering what the fuck is going on. What happened here? One sword in the back of one police car while the psycho's in the back of another. Hey, police competency finally working. Oh. One, Timberwolf food, because apparently it wasn't on it. One, Der Samurai escapes while armed police fire guns in the air. For Americans, this is our what the fuck moment. This is an absolute, hey, that thing, it does this. And when you do that, they don't run anymore. They die tired over there. Nah, fire this way. One, Jacob has had enough. He has finally had it. And he grabs the sword for the final showdown. And finally, wrapping up in Wolf der Samurai versus Jacob Police Samurai. Round 3. Fully erect dig versus sword. Charge towards each other with full decapitation into sparkly fireworks. Just the way I want to go out if it ever bites it. And one last, boy Jacob and his sword find themselves after the first kill. Dave says this one is 3.5 skulls. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. It's not going to be everyone's sort of understandableness because it's in German and you're going to want the subtitles on. Turn the subtitles on, for God's sakes, before the movie starts. Don't do it to yourself where you start it up and you're going, what are they saying? There are subtitles, and it's going to say German. Click that. You want it on. Okay, it's only got one set of subtitles. And I'll say this. For those of you who are going, okay, I don't know if the context or the spoilers or whatever is going to be too much. But there's another way to watch this film that I just want to tell you about right now. Don't turn the subtitles on. Der Samurai, you give a Cartman voice. The police officer, Jacob, you make sound like Kyle, and you do it South Park style. And you riff the entire movie, and you give it your own translation. Because this movie has a general sort of layout, and you can understand what's going on well enough without the script going. In those cases where you want to run this as a party movie and you guys want to riff it the entire time, by all means, it is available to do it that way. It is 100% a funny movie when you do that. And it comes in with a different rating and different enjoyment factors and all that. But I promise you, it can be done. It can be done. But no, I would prefer it if you stuck to the serious plot and turned the subtitles on. But that's your choice. I'll leave it in your hands. But I gotta say, MVPs go to Michael Derricks as Jacob and Pitt Bukowski as Der Samurai. And the rest of the people in the film, who cares? And they're know-nothing throwaway bits and parts. I'm sure somebody cares about who else is in this film, but other than those two and the wolf, we don't. Yeah, move on if you want to go see this film, and I'm going to spoil it for you because I want to talk about sort of larger themes going on in this film, because some of you are not going to be comfortable with the LGBTQ issues going on in the film, to which I'm going to say this is an LGBTQ film produced by people who care about these issues and want to explore them and look at how they get explored in society without anyone ever asking. So, if you want to watch this without getting into the larger context of what's going on here, run along. Go on. I'll be here, I promise. Daddy loves you. Good girl. Go. So, let's talk about it. What the fuck, Dave? Yeah, go ahead. Get it out. Why are you bringing this to us? What's up with the trans movie? Oh, there it is. There it is. I was waiting on it. It is that, isn't it? And that's okay. But that's going to be the thing that's the aversion diversion here. That's Jacob's struggle, is being attracted and feeling things, being pulled into it, being, I don't know, converted even in certain aspects of, he almost falls for it. He almost goes for that path. And it's the questioning aspect of all of us, of, I'm feeling things that I may not have thought I could feel. None of us ever know until we're put in the situation. But it becomes the sort of aversion diversion where, pardon the sudden car horn, it becomes the aversion diversion of, I'm not supposed to be attracted to this, so in some ways I am, versus I'm not perceived by my society in a way that is accepting, so I'm going to lean into this persona in a way that is so radical that it takes its vengeance on a place. And in that radicality, in diving into the levels of, I am what I am, the warrior, the samurai, wearing that sort of dress, that personality as a suit of armor, in the way that the movie presents it, you get this sort of war and the stakes and the sides that this is kind of going for the presentation of the police are one way and the radicals are the other way. You get a sense of where this is tugging at a new war, a new space for where we break each other down depending on how we differ, and how that battlefield is so fraught at any given moment, because you could be part of it, you could be subject to it, you could be, alienated by it because people could think you sort of tangentially belong in it. You can be ostracized for it. You can be rejected by your own family for it. This issue is so multifaceted in the ways we want to treat people. And then we go, is the samurai wrong for ordering a sword and just tearing down the world that won't accept it? I mean, yeah, that's easy, bitch psycho. I can agree with that. But at the same time, you get the sense that from Jacob's position, it hasn't been a very kind or very friendly world. So I can see why he would be reticent to want to just help them all the way. And so it's the sense of how alienating has it been already for Jacob to be hedging, to be questioning whether he even wants to help these people. And ultimately coming up short. We can say Jacob failed. He didn't protect his town. I mean, if you looked at police incompetence in horror films, it's the perfect example of it. He killed the bad guy after letting the bad guy kill everybody else in town. A perfect example of protect and serve in a horror film. And it's sad. It's sad that this is what you get. That's what you got. It's one of those things. And I think this is an interesting movie that more Americans should see, because it pulls at the questioningness of our current modern society and how it asks you to be one way or the other, to make a decision and just decide, when far too many of us are questioning it in a fluid way, in a way that is non-static, in a way where one moment we can feel one way and one moment we can feel another. And it's a weird question of who gets to determine that, and who decides what's right and who decides what's wrong. And the people screaming, "We do," it just immediately cries out for some people, you shouldn't be the ones making the decision because you're going to tell us we're wrong just because we're different. This is one of them films that reaches for it. Now, it's a little German. That's why it gets a half-star deduction, because it's a little German. It's kind of hard to follow. Other than that, it's a little on the weirdly paced. I think it has some moments where you're confused about whether the film forgot what it was doing. And it just feels like it just kind of goes, what are we doing now? And one scene in particular, it's a highly keyed scene, and you're just like, why did you deflate it that way? Why are you reaching for this dance when you've built to this bonfire full of corpses, full of people? It's sort of a moment of like, that should be like the super horrifying reach for it moment, and yet it plays backseat. It doesn't galvanize him in the way that you might hope it does. And there's just some awkward moments in the film, and so there were deductions. But that's not to say this is a bad film. That's not to say you shouldn't see it. That's to say my enjoyment shrank a little. But that's not to say you shouldn't. So I think I'm going to leave this one here. Thank you guys so much for joining me, Dungeon Dwellers. One and all. If you're watching at this point, you're one I count. Make sure you leave a like. Make sure you subscribe so you always get the videos. And make sure you ring that bell so that you get the notifications letting you know when new content drops. Thank you for journeying with me through the dark and spooky wilderness of the German mountains, Dungeon Dwellers. I hope to see you on our next adventures, but until then, dost thou sprechen die Deutsch?